Welcome to the Phantom Zone.
Alright, well, hello, and this is a very special episode of SMALLVILLE Chronicles, where we are going to talk about the pilot episode of Krypton, or Krypton. Joining me, as always, is Allan Muir.
This show is fantastic.
And John Scott.
Hello. Yeah, I saw this episode. I saw this show, and I kind of fell off. So I have no idea what happens after a certain point.
Yeah, so this was my first. I guess we have kind of three different things because you watched half of season one. Allan, have you watched the whole series so far?
I'm about 5 episodes in, but
okay. So
my attempt to do research on Wikipedia, as Wikipedia does, spoils you.
Okay, and this is like all I have done and seen is this episode. So I would say off.
I do have a bunch of like trivia, or not trivia, like notes at people who've collaborated with what's his face,
Goyer.
Specifically,
yes.
The original choice or the original actor.
Should we go over that first? Like, what is Krypton?
Yes.
Who made it?
Yeah. So Krypton is the SyFy original show that just got canceled, like a month ago?
No, this month.
This month. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago. That revolves around the untold story of Superman's grandfather, Sig-El, as he lives and fights in Kandor City on Krypton. It's created by Goyer and
Cameron Welsh.
Yeah, it has on here Damian Kindler as the other creator.
He actually has a long career with SyFy. Like he worked on Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, Sanctuary, and he was actually the co-EP of Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, that was a good show.
Yeah, and for Krypton, he every show he's been involved with, he obviously writes. Like, he wrote 2 episodes of Krypton, 9 episodes of Sleepy Hollow. He's even directed certain stuff. And obviously Goyer.
Yeah, Goyer's like the main guy running the DC.
He developed this. Yeah, he kind of developed this. I think he's had this idea cooking for a while now. And
he's been involved in everything since Batman Begins and stuff, right?
Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah. And he was involved in all of the Snyderverse, I guess is the best way to call it. Like the DCEU or
he wrote Man of Steel and co-wrote I think he co-wrote Batman v Superman with Chris Terrio.
Yes.
And then he just exited.
Yeah, I think he was just like a producer in quotes for Justice League, as well as Wonder Woman.
He also wrote the upcoming Terminator movie that's coming out in a couple of months.
Oh, the one with Ghost Rider's the Terminator?
Yes.
So I guess the big thing that we'll get into it is this show, at least from this first episode, seems to be very much in everything how it portrays Krypton, a prequel to Man of Steel.
Yeah, this takes some heavy inspiration from Krypton on Man of Steel.
Yeah, not just visually, conceptually with the Genesis chamber and all that stuff.
That, and it also takes a little bit from the Donner and then Richard Linklater, not Richard Linklater, wrong director. The I'm forgetting his name. He did Three Musketeers.
Oh man, I can't remember his name.
Which
He has like
what movie?
the Three Musketeers. He has like a famous. There's like a what do you call it? Like
Richard Lester.
yes,
Oh.
there's like a law in.
Talking about the Paul W.S. Anderson version.
No, there's actually he has like the famous thing because of that movie and its sequel that you can't film movies simultaneously anymore because he made those movies back to back but kind of mixed together and everybody only got paid for basically doing one film.
Yeah, and like
So there's like a rule now. That's named after him.
Huh.
are you sure?
And, like,
Are you sure it's him and not the Sulkines? Because they worked with him on Three Musketeers. They were like,
there's 2 Three Musketeers movies, and
Superman 1 and 2 were being shot back to back as well.
yeah, I thought it was specifically had to do with the Three Musketeer movies because they shot them like not back to back, but like simultaneously. So like people didn't know what they were working on, and then they just cut them into 2 different movies. This is like the Charlie Sheen Musketeers, I believe, and one of them has like Chris O'Donnell as our 4th Musketeer.
No, I'm looking right now. You're talking about Lester, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the Three Musketeers from 73 and then the Four Musketeers in 74.
Okay, so I'm thinking about the previous. Yeah, okay, the one after that. Okay, yeah.
The Kiefer Sutherland one was 93.
Okay, so I'm thinking of the wrong Musketeers movies, but yeah, but those are the movies that the rule's based off of, which we definitely went on a huge tangent. So I would say before we get into like the setting and stuff, so our actors in this, so Cameron Guff is our star. He's Sig L. From his IMDb, he's done kind of nothing before this. I've never heard of Halcyon.
This was his first kind of really, really big like lead role.
Yeah, he was in the remake of Time After Time, which got canceled very quickly.
It's in like 2 video games.
Yeah,
He's kind of funny best friend.
Yeah, so
He is.
Yeah, there's Georgia Campbell who plays Lyda Zod.
Yeah.
So she was in Broadchurch, Flowers, Trip. So she's been in a bunch of British TV, which I would say like almost everybody in the show is British, except for the next person, which is Adam Strange,
played by The Miz.
Oh my god, he looks just like. Well, like I have no idea what this. So he's been in Texas Chainsaw 3D, Final Destination 2, Rampage, not the movie that came out recently with the monster, but something else. He was on Vampire Diaries.
We got the Uwe Boll movie. Ugh.
Yeah, so he was in. I'm trying to look. He was on an episode of Smallville.
Chloe, it literally says Chloe's boy thing.
Boy thing. Oof. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he looks like mostly he was on Melrose Place, Life Unexplained, and the Vampire Diaries. So he plays Adam Strange, which is from the outside it's like a crazy pull to have in this universe. And then we have
he's in it for the least. I mean, he's the parent. His Seg's parents get more to screen time than Adam Strange in this episode.
Yeah, he's in this for maybe 5 minutes, maybe a little over.
He has 3 scenes totaling 4 minutes, and that's about it.
And keeping true to the character, he disappears through Zeta Beam.
Yeah, it was a very lazy effect because it was like a cutaway with some phasey stuff going on. Which is strange because a lot of the other effects are really good in this. And then Anna Ogbomo, who was one of the main, what do you call it, from Wonder Woman. The, I keep on saying, what the hell? Amazonians.
Philippus.
Philippus. She was in World War Z. And she's been in a couple other things, which she's pretty badass in the show, looks like. The only 2 guys I really recognized were Val-El, which is his grandfather, which is Ian Elheny. He was in Game of Thrones and Rogue One.
Oh,
Yes,
Barristan Selmy. Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, I know we're gonna dive into like what happens, like the plot. That opening.
Oh, it is like they. I would say like they Batman the shit out of Seg.
No, I'm talking about when.
The opening with Val.
Yeah, like the way with him like in a Superman suit, basically.
Oh yeah, he looked goddamn ridiculous with the cape.
Oh, I gotta say, I saw his like little shirt. I'm like, did he go shopping in the sports men's section at Walmart? Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, their outfits in that intro, which I guess, so to kind of go into it, like, so the beginning is the government kind of changing hands from, I guess, like some sort of a republic with a senate kind of a thing. I can't, or is it they call it council?
Yeah, to the voice of Rao.
Yeah, to a theocracy, which is a guy in a gold mask with multiple, well, we don't know it's a guy, a person in a gold mask that has multiple faces around it. It's actually a really cool design. And there's like another, I think it's a woman that has some language written all over her. And yeah, so Val-El gets kind of like, oh, just kind of say that you're with everything. I can't, what is the guy he's talking to? His name?
Darren Vex.
Yes. Okay, because my like the names of everybody is like so hard in this.
Okay, so Darren Vex is the one who basically
he sentences Val, but it's really he's talking for the voice. He sentences
I just put Darren Vex as a dick. That's all I just put.
He's like a general what's his name from like the new Star Wars movies?
Oh, General Hux.
Hux, yeah. He's like he's not in charge, but he's like the number 2. And we never hear the voice of Rao talk in this pilot episode either. It's kind of like do hand motions and head waves. So he's kind of like interpreting that. So he sentences Val to death and they make him walk the plank basically into icy weather outside of Kandor, which is a interesting, like, I hope the show, which obviously continued, explains why there's like nuclear winter or whatever that's going on outside of Kandor. Like, because there was another city out there we saw that's abandoned.
It's the city from Supergirl, the movie.
Oh God. So yeah, he gets walked a plank and he doesn't want to do stuff, and then it's like the whole goodbye. They make his family.
No, they're charging him for treason.
Yeah,
and they sentence him to death, and he falls. You see him fall to what you believe is his death.
Well, they sentence him to treason for pretty much what Jor-El would prove later on.
Yes, which is that they're not alone in the universe, that there are alien species, and then his belief is that something is coming for them. I believe.
I will get to later on.
Yeah, and so we have like little kid Seg and his parents, which what are his parents' names?
Terrell and Carousel.
Oh God.
Yeah, wait, Carousel? Like
or Charys.
Okay. That'd be really funny if it was called Carousel, because I'm just gonna have jokes in my head then.
Which is funny, like his dad is, oh my God,
Lestrade.
Is Lestrade from the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock show.
Oh wait, the mom is from the Hunger Games movies. Okay.
Yeah, and she's the one you said was from Ray Donovan as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they watch them.
She was on Caprica.
That's a big sci-fi show.
She was on Deadwood.
Oh.
And like she has like a lot of these people are not just like hell, she was in Tombstone.
What?
Yeah, well that's what I was like, they kind of backload the show, so like our main characters, all the young people, have been on like nothing, and then everyone that's like over like 40 has been in a ton of shit. so then we cut to the future and we have a bar fight, and it's Seg and his buddy Kem, who I guess is a bartender.
He's a bar owner.
Can I talk about the design of this bar for a second? Have any of you seen the show Dominion that was on SyFy?
I used to love that show, but then it just went to a weird place.
I swear to God, this bar looks like they left the set and they did something else with it.
Oh, see, I was gonna say it looks like the bar that Kirk gets in a fight in the first Star Trek movie, the reboot.
I was actually I had the same thought. I was like, man, I'm getting like Star Trek 09 vibes.
Yeah, it's like very much like he's fighting, and then they're like, I guess they're taking bets to make money not just does the grandfather get killed, but they strip them of their house sigil and their rank. So
they're rankless, which actually, again, SyFy or comic book SyFy take social commentary. There are many rankless in Andor, which is
it's very much. I'm trying to think. It kind of is like an expansion of, I can't remember the term for it, but like what India had.
Apartheid?
No, not apartheid. That's in South Africa. India actually has a caste system. Like Krypton has a caste system, and it
definitely has a caste system.
Yeah. So what do they call them in this when they have no house?
Rankless.
Yeah, the rankless are like the untouchables. Like they can't go up. They're kind of trapped. Although we see through the stuff that happens in episode 1 that's not necessarily true.
It's sort of caste, but with a twist.
Yeah, but it's also like it's a theocracy, but with a caste. So we kind of jump around. We see,
basically, this is Superman without Superman, but Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's got some.
Yeah,
it's like SyFy Game of Thrones, but there's like our main character is kind of Han Solo-y.
Yeah.
With his leather jacket and like being a rogue, but with like a good heart. And then I thought the scene that was interesting, it's actually one of my favorite scenes of the episode, is when we cut to the training session, which between Zod and the daughter Zod, and then her, I don't remember the term they use, but they use like a weird term for like
binding.
Yeah. And I guess because they all have the same sigil, but I guess it's the sigil of the Rao guy.
Yeah.
So I did like that training session, and the mom like beats the shit out of her, and it's like, we don't yield,
and just stabs her right in her hand.
Yeah, which they show later in like 2 scenes. Like every time they have like she has it repaired, and it looks like they welded her hand with some plastic or something. It's like a very weird repair. Trying to think, is her betrothed is Dev, I think, right? Yeah.
Devin.
So, which I guess, so like in this,
these are all characters from the comics. Just saying.
Yeah. So
Devin, Darren Vex.
See, I don't remember Darren Vex. Looking at the thing, though, there are names in here I know. Like, I know Val-El. Well, Val-El is usually... Isn't that the name of the Black Superman? Or is that Val-Zod?
Val-Zod.
Okay.
Are you talking about the one from Earth 2?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a character who... When we get to after when we're done talking about the episode, I want to talk about like certain characters who they did show up that they did weird gender bending with.
Yeah, well, one of the things I was going to bring up is like, so they kind of, it really doesn't matter, but in this, the Zods, at least as a house, seem to be like they're black. But in that whole training thing, it looked like most of those guards are black. But then they're also dressed like there's like white ones later on, and they're very Nazi looking with like the black garb and like the red sashes or whatever they have on them. Like definitely trying to make that group, I guess, invoke that idea of like the Nazi Gestapo. like when they're marching in the street later on.
Yeah, and there's a bit where one of them is about to assault a rankless.
Yeah, a rankless like old
Seg
man.
just decks him in the face.
Yeah. So I guess the other the other big plot point in the middle is that Seg's father forgets his medicine, so he goes to deliver it with his friend, and he notices that somebody's like a suicide bomber, I guess.
I think it's 4 Black Zero, yeah.
Yeah, and tackles him and holds him down, and they shoot off his arm, which was badass.
There's a lot of brutal kills in this episode, which is kind of dope.
They shoot off his arm, and then this gives like, and we see that Val's dad is kind of like, he's like lower than he's kind of like a secretary, I guess, but almost like
more of an assistant.
Yeah, he seems kind of almost like, but he like walks around quiet and sheepish. It's like kind of
wait, who's dad?
Sig's dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say Val's. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. Seg's dad. Sorry, the names are just like very hard to keep track. So yeah, Seg's dad is kind of like a sheepish secretary, who like brings water and stuff like that
To Darren.
Yeah, he works for Darren. So that happens. Darren's like, well, we're going to restore your cast, but you're not going to be L. You're going to be like, I'm going to adopt you kind of. And oh yeah, here's my daughter. What was her name?
That was like Nissa or something.
Yeah, Nissa Vex.
Okay, which they did interesting, like her hair and stuff is like, she looks cool. And then their scene together, I think, is a real interesting, that's where we see like the real pulls from the Snyderverse.
Yeah, with the genetic like template.
Yeah,
that was the big thing I noticed. I was sitting there, I'm like, this is literally right out of Man of Steel.
Yeah, which is that, so in this version of Krypton, the Kryptonians, like, they don't actually, because she even jokes like, oh, well, they used to carry their own children. Now they just kind of donate their DNA via blood, and then the machine makes them, and then they're like grown in people pods, I guess. And so she makes jokes about that. She's like, yeah, they're lucky that I'm even allowed to have kids. And Seg even says, is like, yeah, if you're like a lower rate, like the lower class or whatever, you're not allowed to couple. Or I can't, they use like a bunch of weird terms. It's like joining or something like that.
Binding.
So, and they do their stuff, they put it in the computer, and we see their kid, which has
173 cycles.
Life
cycles. And
it has a name.
Corvex.
And she also references that her dad isn't like, he wasn't really his choice, and that, you know,
she did it. She chose him.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily from this episode, but there's sort of like a scheme going on with them, with Nissa and Darren Vex, where like they're acting real suspicious. And it's one basically a bit of, there's the big character reveal at the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We're meant to believe that they're somehow affiliated.
Yes, with that. That's what I thought, because before the big reveal at the end, I had thought that our multi-face voice of Rao was actually going to be Brainiac. I might watch this show, so don't spoil it.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, like, I've seen up to a certain point of what Brainiac can do, so I was going to see something, but if you're going to watch it, I won't spoil.
Yeah, I might actually, because that's one of the things I'll say, is like, like most of the other shows that we watch, it's like, like the Wonder Woman show, I was like, I would not watch this show. That Justice League show, I would not watch. The Aquaman show was fine. This show, surprisingly, was something I was like, oh, I guess I kind of missed the boat, but it's over now, so I can go and watch it whenever. But I do actually really like this, and I do think it takes the parts of the Snyder Superman that were really interesting, especially Man of Steel, that whole beginning, and it is all of that, which is really interesting. Like, I love the costume designs. Like, I love how the upper crusty guys are like super clean, and like everything is like shaped. Like, it's weird to say, like, there's not a hair out of place.
This has like a really good like quality to it in terms of production design. I still remember the first shot you see of Candor City in the beginning of the episode is gorgeous.
Oh yes.
Like
I feel like they used a lot of stuff from Man of Steel, like that was already made. Like, it makes, and all the practical stuff looks great too.
The logo for the House of L is definitely from Man of Steel.
Yeah, the sandstone or sunstone.
Yeah,
a couple of things like the sunstone, like the last shot, and jumping ahead, the last
when
shot.
they pull out,
yeah.
The only thing that I saw that I was like, was actually the final scene with Adam Strange. The cape looked like dog shit. I thought
that cape looked like it was made for a 5-year-old at a Halloween parade party in elementary.
Yeah, that looked like the cheapest cape ever with like the S on it. I was like, that's like that spray, like that sticky stuff that like if you stretch it, it like peels apart. I was like, you spent so much money and everything. You couldn't just get a cape from another. I guess I had to get a cape with an S on it, and we've never had a live action Superman that has had that. Because the Reeve Superman, he just had a red cape. Same with Returns and with Cavill. Like, they didn't have the S on the cape, I don't believe.
There was a character that was originally announced to appear in the show.
Oh, was it? Who was it that they didn't have? You mean?
A character was supposed to, a big time character from the comics was supposed to appear on the show, and it was later that the person was just, or the character was just cut because they're like they wouldn't be able to fit the character in the storylines. Hawkwoman.
Really?
Huh.
That's
something
interesting. I wonder if it's because of how bad they were done in Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh,
well, no,
because this would have been way after that, right?
This would have been a year or two.
This was not the one. They're like the whole Hawkman conundrum. There's a Hawk girl, Hawk woman conundrum where there's Shayera Hall, Shayera Thal, Shayera Parker.
Yeah, well, because they keep reincarnating.
And I mean, it's one of those things where I see where, but like you could do something with. I mean, I have a feeling that could have been where Strange would have it may have been a swap.
Yeah, well, I would say like Hawkman and Adam Strange have had stuff together, but they've also had. I'm trying to remember the character's name, but in the recent Hawkman book, like it revealed that they had like one of his lives, he was a Kryptonian. And he was a Kryptonian scientist that worked with, I don't remember if he worked with, I don't think he worked with Jor-El, but he may have been like Jor-El's teacher. So they could have done something with that with Hawkwoman. I'm trying to think if there's any other. So the other big scenes we get is like the Adam Strange comes back the second time, gives him the Sunstone. He takes it to his parents. Blah blah blah. He ends up like hooking. We find out that he's hooking up with Lyta Zod.
Yeah.
So we see that they have sex, and on his way home, there's a curfew. He gets caught. He gets rescued by his mom, who looks like she should be in Star Wars at this point. Which is like the big thing is like the undesirable area. It looks like Star Wars, and then the upper crust area looks like the Krypton from Man of Steel. which
also
is
super big turnaround because his mom was just like, "Oh yeah, whatever," just kind of like going about her business, and now she's like, "I stole a thing, get in." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's still a skimmer.
Yeah, that's where I was like, oh, this is like kind of Star Warsy. So they get into the skimmer, they fly out of the city, and this is where we see like the greater Krypton, where it's like snowy, and there's like a deserted, destroyed city outside of Kandor. And then we see an ice fortress, and it's the grandfather's Fortress of Solitude, which is
supposed to be like why
why they killed him.
Or no. Well, that and it would give inspiration to Jor-El as like to
build a thing. Yeah,
or no to give Kal-El something to make his own.
Mm-hmm.
And this is basically just like a dark version of Smallville.
Yes, I was going to say, which is funny because that's right where we got to in Smallville is when he gets the crystal to form the Fortress of Solitude. So it's not because the Smallville version and the Reeve version is like the classic ice crystal palace, while this version it's ice on the outside, but on the inside it's like that kind of brushed bronze, like kind of Man of Steel looking Kryptonian metal. Although he still does use the Sunstone is a crystal, which is always like a thing in Kryptonian stuff. But when we get inside, we see like there's like something in a jar and there's a bunch of crap. And then there's a giant statue that's reminiscent of the statue that Superman has of his parents is in there, but I'm guessing it is of Val-El and his wife. And they leave and they're going to get caught. And Sig is hidden by his mom in a thing and she gets arrested. And then by, what's his name again? Dev M. And she invokes the name of, was it Black Zero?
Yeah.
And then they have their big council thing and they're going to punish them with Jane Azad is there as well as Darren Vex. And they're like, oh, we knew that there was going to be two people. And basically, the dad kind of steps up and he steals a gun and goes to shoot.
Well, Dad kind of first goes like, "Son, I love you. I did it."
Yes,
very quickly.
Well, because they're like, there was a second person and there were sightings of Seg. So, and the conversation that Jaina and the mom have is that like they know that their children have been hooking up, so that she's kind of protecting Seg and her daughter.
Also, we get there's a certain line. There's a line where the two matriarchs talk about Zod mentions to Karis that the life signs registered or life signs indicated that two people were in the skimmer. And she then pivoted to saying that she was involved with Black Zero, and you can get and around it's at this point where Darren mentions that or you get an impression that everyone wants to find what Val-El made.
Yeah. But we get that kind of after the trial, because Seg's dad jumps in, goes to shoot Jaina. She shoots him in the chest, so he dies. And then the mom is like, "You bitch," and picks up the gun and is like, "Haha," and then shoots her. But it definitely appears like both of his parents kind of do that, knowing they're going to die, so that they just get killed quickly and then they protect their son.
God, this would have been you can tell this is. So Goyer had his hands on it because of the opening of Batman v Superman.
Oh, well, this is where I was like, oh, he gets a Batman like origin. It's like, yeah, he gets to watch his parents be murdered in front of him, but as like a 20 something, I guess, instead of a child.
It's like Gotham, but done better.
Yes.
Okay, this makes sense. David Goyer co-wrote the pilot. So
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So we have them killed. And Seg, we cut to was like Seg is all sad, and then the Lyta shows up and is like, "Oh, we still have each other." And he's like, "Well, it was going to be over anyway," and just walks away from her. And we see that he's pissed. He gets his friend to get him a ship, and then he flies to the fortress. And this is where the third time we see Adam Strange shows up, and is basically like, "You don't get it. I'm sorry about your parents, but like something's coming."
He talks about this in the second or in his middle scene. He mentions that someone is coming from the past.
Yes.
Or from the future to
change the past.
Yeah.
And then in the third scene, he's like, yeah, they call him the Collector of Worlds. And we get this like crazy cutscene of like the giant skull ship.
Which looks so goddamn cool.
It looks great. And then we go inside and it's like a living machine.
Yeah, and you see all the different worlds.
Yes.
In bubbles.
Yeah, the bottle like tentacles and everything kind of form up.
Yeah. It looked more like a tree, to be honest.
It looked like a metal tree, but like of like metal tubing. Yeah. It looked really good. It looked a lot like kind of Injustice-y version of Brainiac, like the video game. But yeah, then they're like, oh, but his name is really Brainiac. And then like it kind of opens and we see the green face and the eyes open and the pitch black, which I think is a great design choice. And then Adam shows him the cape, which is disintegrating, and he's like, it's kind of like a sand timer. When it's gone and the future is gone.
Hourglass.
Yeah, hourglass. And he's just like, yeah, so you have to do this. And basically then he leaves, and then we get the pull out of the S.
With the theme.
Yes.
Of the old school John Williams theme. You hear a little bit of it.
Which I feel like they are like obligated to use it anytime there's like they show that symbol, like in certain ways. So, and he's basically left in the fortress. I think the only other scene we got was like what's her name? Jaina Zod and what's his name? Darren Vex, like arguing about like, oh, did you kill them just to protect the kid? Like, we need to find the goddamn fortress. Like, and she's like, why do you want to find the fortress? And he's like, there's probably weapons and stuff. We don't want them to fall into the hands of Black Zero. So, like, that's kind of where they leave us. I do think as a pilot episode, it's kind of a great pilot episode, I would say.
It does a lot of world building really well.
Yes.
And I'm just going to talk about the certain like connections to like previous stuff like Superman the Animated Series and mainly Constantine. This is more like just characters that appeared like a character from Superman the Animated Series and an actor from Constantine. So Lobo is in obviously season 2. He is played by Emmett Scanlon, who was going to be the Spectre on Constantine.
Well, they did have somebody play the cop in Constantine.
Yeah, that's the guy, Emmett Scanlon.
Okay, yeah.
He was actually it was down to him and Matt Ryan for the role of John Constantine.
Oh wow.
And Goyer basically just like whenever he has something something he thinks Scanlon would be good for, he just like they have a good relationship in terms of like working together. And do you guys remember the character Jaxer?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In that they do a gender twist, gender. I don't know what
swap.
A gender swap. and she's. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but she's a big character, and the way they the way season 1 ends is more of a oh yeah, that really does him not a single fucking favor.
Yeah, looking at the suit that Val L is wearing, like it literally looks like pajamas, and he's wearing like black pants, and then he has this like child's cape, but he like has such a pudge.
It looks like Adam West did, like if Adam West were still alive, if he was if he like him in like 10, 15, 20 years ago, if he put on the outfit from the 66 series.
Oh god, yeah.
This shirt, I swear to God, this shirt looks like it came from like they have like a Walmart on Krypton or a Dick's Sporting Goods or a Sport Authority. And also, fuck the cape on the next photo you just showed. It
looks so cheap, right? It's weird of all the, not to cut you off, Al, like of all the stuff that they do, like effects wise, like the guns look great, the knives and swords look great, the costumes look great, especially like, all right, here's the cape from like the back that they did for Val, and it looks so much better. Although I still don't like the S, and I'm just not a fan of that. But like, it's definitely a CG cape, but like, it looks so much better. Like somehow they just got like a garbage cape to like give him.
You know what it looks like? I swear to God, I was Superman once when I was like 5 years old. That cape looks like that. Also, I do appreciate in that first photo, going back really quick, that you see this great production design, you see these great like soldier costumes, and then you see Grandpa's costume.
Yes. Although one of the other things is I actually really like Adam Strange's like bum lazy cut, like his costume. Like he's not in his goofy Adam Strange look. He's in like a t-shirt with a hoodie with like a jacket thrown over that and a Tiger's hat and jeans.
Is this a guild? No, it's the Detroit Tigers.
Oh, yeah, and then the planet he's from, like planet Detroit.
Yeah, and I do think I like that the soldiers aren't like heavily armored, but I actually really like their stormtrooper like masks. They're not like stormtroopers, but I mean like their helmets look awesome. Like they're very intimidating.
So what's his face?
What'd you say? You were talking about Lobo before, which I know we didn't get to, but like,
yeah, that's more of. I just want to say like there are certain moments that like things change. Like they give you a certain hints as to what's going to happen. Like you see there's a character who's going to make a big appearance later on in the season, and they show they straight up show the person on a hologram type thing of like people, like someone Letazad asks who's this person, and her mother says no one knows, some new player, and it ends up going to a shot on Earth of everyone like in panic over the change that happens to history or to the time-space continuum.
Oh.
And then there's a scene in season 2. I'm sure Hunter mentioned it, where Seg does sort of like, but he does what in their scene where between him and Lobo in the forest, or some planet after he gets out of a certain area. She straight up does the Henry Cavill like reload of his arm, like getting ready to throw a punch. And it got to the point where people were talking about that, and Cameron Cuff said, "Well, who do you think taught him how to do it?"
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
I do
and
just say, if you don't want to get spoiled by the show, do not go on IMDb and flip through the pictures.
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say, don't
I
do
got
that.
spoiled.
The only thing I was gonna say was Walter Steele from Arrow shows up in the show. I won't say as who, but he's in the show.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, cool.
also, just continuing to our beef with Screen Rant, like in the Fan Zone stuff. There's a point, or there's a something on there from a few days, from like 5-6 days ago, about hints towards like where Krypton's going for season 3, and this was like like a week or two after it was canceled. Man, they truly have no idea what's going on outside of their little world.
Yeah. So I guess like to kind of wrap all this up is like, so to me, and I guess I'll ask the same question to both of you, like, is this a show that you would watch or will finish the 2 seasons that have come out? I will. I think I will end up watching it at some point.
Yeah, I think once it becomes a little more easily accessible for me is when I'll probably watch it again at some point.
I am most likely going to check this out, because at first I just didn't. I was like, "Oh, that's dumb. That just it's got gore's involved." No.
Yeah, what is interesting to me, like the one character who they like shared that I was like, ooh, I don't know about this, was actually Lobo, which they were wanting to do a spin-off, which thank God that didn't happen. But the character designs, I would say, for Brainiac and Doomsday are amazing. Like compared to like, I'm trying to think, we didn't really get like a full Brainiac in Smallville, and we haven't gotten any other version. There we got 2 other versions of Brainiac, but not Brainiac like Prime in Supergirl. So this is really the first kind of real live action like green alien version of Brainiac, and he looks
well. Keep in
awesome.
mind, with Supergirl and Smallville, they're following with this they're going by everything with the Snyderverse.
Yes.
And Supergirl and Smallville, they're going by Donner.
Yeah, I guess in some ways, like Supergirl has had some of the other characters kind of more fleshed out, and like Smallville did do their own version of Doomsday. But I would say like we've had 3 live action versions of Doomsday, quote unquote, and this Krypton version is the best looking one. And then I would say it's kind of like a toss in the garbage for the other 2, of like a guy in a rubber suit, and then the cave troll that's in Batman v Superman.
You mean the Ninja Turtles live action reject?
But I do like the Lobo is like, I don't know why they try to make Lobo a thing. Like I like the character, but he doesn't need to be like. It's like they want to make him Deadpool so bad. But otherwise, like, yeah, I think this is a good show. I love the design. I think again they took the best stuff from the Snyderverse and kind of blew it out. So, and that's why I'm interested in this. I wonder if there's any chance of this getting saved in some sort of way with either the DC app or HBO Max, because it does look like an expensive ass show, I would say.
I wouldn't be surprised if like DC Universe or even HBO Max would pick it up in the next couple days.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know about DC Universe, considering everything with Swamp Thing.
yeah. Well, Swamp Thing was like a whole other like goof up with it. So, and it's kind of more along the fate of the DC app in general. But I could totally see HBO Max picking this up.
Also, this show films in quite a lot of places.
Yeah, I saw it's mostly films in Belfast, I think I saw.
Belfast, or 4 locations: Belfast, Montreal, and Serbia.
Yeah, I'm guessing Serbia is like any of the cold scenes, and Belfast for the most part, which is why like you get a completely different look compared to the CW shows that all film in Vancouver. So no matter what part of the world they're in, there are redwood trees and ferns. But yeah, I would say like this was surprisingly good. I think that this suffered from Gotham like a lot. I think the bad taste of Gotham really hurt this show.
Which is ironic because there was really literally nobody
from one involved with the other.
Yeah, and Gotham, like the showrunner for that was the guy from The Mentalist.
Yeah, I also think it kind of hurt it that it's on another network that a lot of people don't really have respect for, and that it wasn't connected to any specific universe. It's like tangentially connected kind of to the Snyderverse, but since that's dead, it like turns into this whole other thing in many ways. So do either of you have any final kind of comments about Krypton?
I'm just trying to think. I had it, and then it's kind of gone from my head. I was gonna say, going off what you were saying, like this is the second good comic book show that Sci-Fi's canceled this year. The other being Happy, and I don't know, just kind of stinks.
Yeah, well, Happy kind of made sense because like I don't know where they were gonna go because like didn't they like run out of source material after season 1?
Also, didn't they cancel Deadly Class too?
They did, yes. And to answer your question, Lou, I think so? Question mark? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think like so, but they have been known like to cancel like really good shows all the time. Like it's one of the problems with Sci-Fi.
They're about as bad as Fox.
Yes.
There's literally a thread in Phantom Zone right now, in the Phantom Zone group, where people are talking about all the shows that they've canceled, and they have a habit of canceling shows, especially after a second season.
Yeah, they'll cancel shows after second season for like their new awesome big show that then tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember, like I forgot who I was doing who I was recording with. Maybe you, Lou, where I mentioned that Stargate SG-1 or Stargate Atlantis got canceled because the network wanted to find a bigger, sexier audience.
Yeah, the show that had Jason Momoa on it when he's like 20.
No, he was in his 30s. His 20s.
I forget that he's immortal. Like he's like unaging because he's like in his mid 50s, I believe, or something, right?
No.
Yeah,
there's no
in the 90s.
No, he's 40.
I think he's like he's in like his mid 40s.
No,
like,
he just turned 40 like a couple weeks ago.
Then how old was he when he was on Baywatch?
That was about 1999, so you got to think he was maybe like...
He was born in 79, so on Baywatch 20? He would have been 20. But he still is like... when he must have done... What did he do, Conan, when he was like 30?
Conan was 2011, so that was like right when Game of Thrones was taking off.
It was 2011, he was born in 79.
So like 30, or between 31, 32.
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot that he's in the Dune movie. Because he's with everybody in the Dune movie.
Oh yeah, I'm almost done with the book. I'm finishing it like probably tonight.
Yeah, so he did Stargate Atlantis in 05 to 09. So he would have been like 25.
Between 25 and 30.
Yeah, so 25-year-old goddamn Jason Momoa isn't sexy enough for people. Because the one I always remember is they canceled Alphas, which is like my favorite X-Men show that wasn't X-Men.
Well, technically it was because Zach Penn, who wrote X-Men Last Stand, was writer on or showrunner.
And that got canceled for a space show that I think lasted like a season, and they were trying to do like a tie-in video game, MMO.
Oh, Defiance.
Defiance, yes.
Oh, I've seen a couple episodes of Defiance. Oh, it sucks.
I played the shit out of that Defiance game.
Yeah, they canceled like half of the programming on SyFy for Defiance.
Because it was so expensive.
Yep.
And originally, the whole premise was the show and the TV were going to be like a symbiosis.
With the video game.
And they ended up coming out and saying, yeah, we can't do it. We can't. This won't work.
Yeah. So yeah, SyFy Network is not the best when it comes to like a stable environment.
They're also, I mean, that this is the network that aired this like the cliffhanger finale of Farscape and then canceled it.
God damn it, SyFy.
For some people, the ending of Farscape, where the two main characters, are one proposing to the other, and then them getting blown up.
Yeah, well, there's like a bunch of shows that have had wonky endings, like for many issues. But yeah, I don't think there's really much else to go on. Like, I actually think this is. I'm glad I kind of forced myself to watch this because it is better than I thought. And I should have given this more time. Like, I gave Gotham a whole season 1, before I was like, this is the dumbest shit ever. And that was when it wasn't really super cookie crazy. So
season 2, I haven't seen the final season yet, but I saw like the suit and everything. But that show, you know what? I gotta like admire them for like going that crazy, but also not admire them because it's that stupid.
When they put what's his name, Michael Chiklis, in like the executioner outfit with like
that was the
makeup.
That was the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Oh my god!
Yeah, we were doing an episode of Phantom Zone, and we were just like, Hunter had an idea. Like he was pushing for an idea to have like a eulogy for Gotham, or either eulogy or a funeral, one of the two.
And I think the show went on for 2 more years. Oh
god! But, I just remember, and I remember Jada Pinkett Smith as Fish, and she's in a literal fish costume.
Oh my god! And she's like doing an Eartha Kitt impression.
Is this before or after she?
This is after she bites it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because like she gets you think she gets killed, and then she's in like some Eastern European.
Yeah, that's season 1 still, but I think they kill her off again at the end of season 1. She gets killed off like twice.
No, I remember her coming back when like Cobblepot is running for mayor, and
yeah, she gets killed like several times in the show, I think.
Yeah, because like she's looking for what's his face, the guy that B.D. Wong played.
Oh,
Hugo Strange.
Yeah.
Also, I remember that Harvey Dent showed up on the show and they did nothing because I guarantee you that would have been about as silly as Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. And they made Fish's assistant into Solomon Grundy, I believe.
Yeah.
So
can there just be a separate Gotham podcast where it's just everyone riffing on Gotham the entire series?
I think it's just like everyone like, you remember when they announced this? What the fuck were they thinking? Well, it would have went on for 4 more years. That's basically that entire podcast. But yeah,
but you just do episode by episode, like how you guys are doing Smallville. We'll have the Gotham Gazette or something. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think I could put myself through that.
I don't think any of us could put ourselves through that, to be honest.
Yeah. So I guess we can wrap up. Don't forget to check out the other shows. So we have the comic show, which John is on all the time. We have the main Phantom Zone show, movie specials, Legion Talk, all that kind of stuff. Smallville Chronicles.
But here's the thing. Smallville Chronicles is the backbone of the Phantom Zone cinematic universe. You can't forget that.
Yeah, well, we are the constant. And basically every show and every movie that ever exists has somebody from Smallville. That somebody appeared in Smallville.
Yeah.
Now, Smallville is our Kevin Bacon 6 degrees of separation.
Yes. Even including Shazam. Like, what's his name's dad? Is Lionel Luthor.
Oh, son of a bitch! Yes, god damn it!
John Glover plays Mark Strong is dead.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So yeah, check all that. Don't forget to go to Lost Horror. Check out Legion of Tunes, Lost Horror Games podcast that Allan is on. And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to everything. Leave 5 stars and tell a friend.
Click that bell notification.
Yep. And I guess that wraps us up. So we'll see you next time. Adios.
Welcome to the Phantom Zone.